Welcome to the Great Allegheny Passage for what is, drum roll please, my 10th journey. Some of you may know I wanted to do this back in June, but there were Canadian wildfires that completely smoked out the area, and well, I didn't get a chance to do it. In fact, as I drove out here this morning, as I saw the fog in the hills, it started reminding me of the smoke, and I started getting concerned that I was going to have to turn around. So it's almost as if the gap is making up for it, because in all the years that I've ridden this, I have never seen the train in operation. How awesome. He's back there. I don't know if we're gonna play hopscotch up to Frostburg or not, but anyway, it's a cool day. I'm suddenly discovering probably not cool enough for this jacket, so I'm gonna lose that soon. It's overcast. There's definitely gonna be rain, but man, I'm thrilled, and I hope you enjoy this video. All right, we didn't get too far before we're going to stop for our first little stop off on the trail. This is the Cumberland Bone Cave. So when they were working on the railroad, they happened to find this here cave, and they brought in some people from the Smithsonian, and they uncovered both, well, lots of animals, but 40 species, some prehistoric, upwards to 200,000 years old. And their bones are now on display in the Museum of Natural History in the Smithsonian in DC. So you got to go that way, what, 175 miles to go see them. But pretty cool. I'm glad they have a fence here, because if they didn't, I would be down in there. So they are compensating for, well, my sense of adventure and perhaps stupidity. Hey, one more little footnote that I thought was crazy. They found mastodons and saber-toothed tigers and that kind of stuff. Guess what else they found in there? A crocodile. A crocodile. What the heck's a crocodile doing here? Huh? They're doing some repairs, so the train is not going to Frostburg today. Boy, that's some extensive work right there. Putting all new ties in. Subscriber, you know who you are. She asked me to add some haunted house music to all the dark tunnels. So there you go. It's near Halloween, sorry. That was the point. Terrible narration. All right, you want a little history? So Cumberland is it's a really interesting city. You know, it was a frontier town, and you know, Cumberland really is almost like a history of transportation in general. You got to step back to the mid-1700s. The founding fathers and Washington in particular was really concerned that if we didn't find a way to get to the interior, the frontier of the country, and especially like with Jefferson having the Louisiana Purchase and even more land to be concerned about, they felt that if we couldn't get to the interior, we were going to lose it. And so, in fact, interesting tidbit, I read this the other day. One of the reasons they think that Napoleon parted with the Louisiana Territory for relatively small dollars, he needed money for a war. But one of the other reasons they say is that he believed that he was going to be able to take it back for pennies on the dollar, because French government didn't believe the colonists would know what to do with the land. Interesting perspective. But so anyway, Washington started a company called the Potomac. I think it was called the Potomac Company, and their goal was to create a waterway or enhance water traffic from, you know, DC, Chesapeake Bay up to Cumberland. Well, they wanted to go all the way to Ohio. Okay, let me step back. So, you know, Washington was a surveyor, and they led an expedition up the Potomac. They were concerned when they got to Great Falls, because man, that was something else. And then thought, what are we going to do there? And then they got to Cumberland and saw this fine mountain that we're going up right now, and realized, okay, we're not going to get boats up over this mountain. Didn't stop them. So, well, over history, obviously more complicated than you can share on a bike in a few minutes, but they started this C&O Canal, and it led along the side of the Potomac and ended right there in Cumberland. Well, it led to a lot of growth, obviously, but well, by the time they finished the canal, there were some hassles in getting it done, one of which was the Pawpaw Tunnel, which nearly bankrupted the company. I think it did bankrupt the company. But for any of you that had to struggle going up over that detour, well, you can appreciate what a pain in the butt it was to build that. By the time they finished it and opened it up, the railroads were more established, and unfortunately the canal just, it had a few golden years, but it became obsolete pretty quickly. So well, Cumberland was pretty forward thinking, because when the trains came about, they embraced the train network. When the road system was developed, they embraced the road system. So it became a real hub for the transfer of goods up the canal, over the mountain. Happening place. That's what the history books say. Cumberland, a happening place. Kaboom. I don't know if you heard that or not. With a shotgun or what. So anyway, you know, Cumberland today is a cool little place. I've stayed there obviously many nights. Good restaurants. If you're looking for logistics on how to do this trail, you know, Cumberland is a big Amtrak stop, so that makes it really nice. And my favorite part in Cumberland is there's free parking right under the highway, and makes it really easy if you want to drive and leave your car. It's safe, and well, it'll be there when you get back, and the beautiful town of Cumberland will be waiting for you also. Hey, are we in Pittsburgh yet?
Yeah, you missed it. It's back there.
Oh, it's back. Oh, man. You know, I am so funny. All right, I'm going to bring back a fan favorite segment. Frequently asked questions. All right, as you know, I've got several videos on the Gap and the C&O for that matter. And I even have one about, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like tips about how to make it a better experience. It's getting a little old in the tooth, but the points are still valid. It just doesn't have that Hollywood production value that you have grown to enjoy about this fine channel. Oh, that's rich. Anyway, over the years, I have compiled a list of frequently asked questions, and I'm going to cover the top 9. Why 9? Because I'm riding it in 3 days, and I thought I'd give you 3 questions per day. And today's are all, well, they're kind of related today. They're almost kind of one question, but they're slightly different. They're good questions. Number 1 question is, can I do it? And the answer is yes. Okay, question number 2. No, just kidding. You know, people ask because maybe they're just getting into adventure cycling, or maybe a friend or a spouse or a partner is going to come along, and you know, they want to know what's the trail like. Or one guy who's getting over surgery and wanted to know is, you know, is this a really difficult trail? And I got to be careful about how I answer this. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. The Gap is a trail for all experience levels. I keep coming back. I don't find it boring. I'd include myself as semi-experienced. I've met many an experienced rider that loves it. It's just beautiful. I've ridden it, well, pretty much in all seasons. Maybe not the dead of winter, but pushing it. This is not a but, this is an and. And it is wonderful for beginner cyclists. What makes it so? Well, there's lots of services and places to stop, food, hotels, camping, you name it. And you know, they're not all spread out, they're all on the trail. The trail is incredibly well groomed. Every time I'm on this, I can't believe how nice this trail is. I mean, yeah, you get the every now and then, maybe some grooves if it's raining, but you know, the people who oversee this trail do a phenomenal job. So, you know, which leads to maybe to a question of, well, it's about bikes. We'll answer that later. Preview, yes, you can ride just about any bike on this. And we'll talk about elevation later. But you know, it's a challenge. It's 150 miles. It goes up and over the Eastern Continental Divide. But when I've had friends ask, hey, where should I get started? What should I do? This is one that I suggest. Great trail. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is what I just talked about. Is the elevation just killer? And, well, I don't have the numbers in my head. Okay, there's the top of the Continental Divide. There's the elevations of the cities. You know, it's not a big difference. It's a good climb. The difference is on the east side, you do that in, well, basically 22 miles, Whereas on the western side, you got almost 100, little over 100 miles to climb that same amount. So, you know, I'm doing it right now. I'm riding up the steep side, and I'm a little more out of breath than usual, but it's not crazy. And just like that group back there, take a break every now and then. It's great scenery. It's not impossible. And then when you get to the top, it's downhill all the way to Pittsburgh. That's pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. By the way, I've only done it east to west 3 times, and I have never gone all the way to Pittsburgh. So that's going to be new for me. Okay, so third question is, okay, Brian, what's your preference? And I'm going to dodge it like the Matrix, Neo, by saying, well, I like it either way. I think it's just it's incredibly beautiful either way. I think going west to east is more convenient. If you're going to use Amtrak's a little funky going west to east. If you're going to take it west to east, Amtrak, that means you're going to bike it east to west. It's a little funky. Leave super early in the morning. That's no fun. But, you know, I guess if you're going the other way, it dumps you off in Pittsburgh in the middle of the night. I've done it more west to east, so I don't know. Maybe that's a subconscious preference. All right, there you go. 3 questions for today. Frostburg is another really cool little stop along this. Yeah, I probably should have pointed out the gap through here follows the Western Maryland rail line. And Frostburg was interesting in that it had 2 rail lines. This one, and then up the top was one called the C&P. So it was bustling. It's named after its founder, whose last name was Frost. Can't remember his first name. Anyway, the town was founded in 1812, and it was also a very favorite stop on the National Road. If you're not familiar with the National Road, it was really the first, well, it was the first road in the country. Real road, like cement and rocks, and, you know, not like a dirt path. Well, there's lots of coal around here. So there's a lot of coal mining, and it's a cool little town to visit. I don't have time today, but it's up on top of the hill. But they built this little switchback that helps you to get up the hill. How nice of them. So if you're interested in stopping for a meal or something to drink, good stop. All right, starting to sputter a little bit here. Hey, if you watched my video on adventure cameras, cycling cameras, I just accidentally dropped my GoPro. It went tumbling about 15 feet right into a rock. There was only one rock alongside the trail. It went right into it. But look what's still working just fine. I think GoPros have a solid build to them, which is why I recommend them. They take a licking, but keep on ticking. I don't remember what company that was. You remember?
Timex, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
You know, another point with regards to how easy or difficult this side is, the climb. I normally ride about, I don't know, 13 to 15 miles an hour on most tours. You know, I've averaged going up this hill between 8 and 10. The Gordon Tunnel, 1911. It's pretty funny. There's normally motion sensor lights in here, but I guess they're burnt out. Only one light came on. There's another one just came on. It gets dark. I can see the rain up the mountain here. It's coming. All right, it's starting to rain, but we had to stop there for a little history. That's the Mason-Dixon line. Most people think of the Mason-Dixon line as the, well, symbolic division between the North and the South during the Civil War. But it was actually, well, there were two families, the Penns and the Calverts. And they were both granted land as loyal British subjects. You know, William Penn, everybody knows William Penn. Anyway, they each had different lines in mind. You know, the Maryland claim, the Calvert claim was way north, and Penn's claim was way south. So they argued for almost 100 years before they got around to hiring some surveyors. And wouldn't you know, their names were Mason and Dixon. Isn't that convenient? Because they found people with the same names as the name of, forget it. I set that one up bad. If I was a stand-up comedian, I'd go back and try that one again. Isn't that great? They hired two surveyors with the same name. Anyway, they did a survey, and well, you know, they declared the Mason-Dixon line. Now, there's a funny little postscript. Less than a decade after they determined the line, they both lost their land following the Revolutionary War. Because, as I said, they were loyal British subjects. So, whatever, the Mason-Dixon line still endures. Yeah, not much of a view today, but see some color in there. We're basically at the top. This is a beautiful place to stop and take it all in. And I have a tradition of just letting the camera go through the Big Savage Tunnel. If you've ever ridden this, this is a treat. Big, big, big. Savage, 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 savage. Tunnel, 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 tunnel. This is one of those tunnels that kind of has its own climate. In the summer, this is like an ice box. And on a day like today where it's a little cool outside, it's like a balmy, you know, 55 in here. Here's the official top of the Eastern Continental Divide. Hey Bob, this is for you. The word right now is headwinds. Well, the temperature has dropped about 15 degrees since I took off earlier today. It's like 45. So if I stay, if I keep the pace up, I'm staying warm, but at a certain point I'm gonna have to break out another shirt and some pants maybe. Salisbury Viaduct. That's really sad. I spent many a wonderful evening sitting by the fire in the Husky Haven campground. I don't know the whole story, but it was a nice couple that ran it, and they decided to close up. And as far as I can tell, nobody has purchased it or gonna keep it going. But man, it's such a shame. It's right on the trail, and well, I hope the owners are okay. Wet brakes. Rockwood, hello. Good morning. If it looks like I'm really cold this morning, it's because I'm really cold this morning. Oh my gosh. It's like 30. It got down even colder last night. I think it got down to like the low 20s. And it's just warmed up a little bit. I was sitting in the Airbnb this morning coming up with any reason whatsoever. Oh, I gotta answer these emails today. It's really important. We'll see. I threw in some winter gear at the last minute, just because I had space in my bag. If I would not have done that, I don't think I could be riding this morning. Know these guys, they rake leaves on the trail. I don't think I've ever seen the trail look this nice. Just, you know, I think I mentioned it yesterday. they take such great care of this trail. I mean, it's volunteers, I think, primarily, but wow, really nice. Okay, well, let me wrap up yesterday and start today. So I kind of got quiet. I cut the video short a little bit yesterday because it was kind of the tale of two weather patterns yesterday. It was, you know, it was not warm, but it was, you know, near 60 going up the hill. And then once I got over the divide yesterday, wow, about 15-20 mile an hour headwind. And you know, I was wearing shorts. I had on this jacket, but call it laziness. I just didn't want to dig in my bag for sweat, so I thought, I'll just bike on into Rockwood. Well, you know, your body gets cold and you don't realize how cold it is, and then you jump in the shower and your body starts acting all weird. You know, it gets tingly, and yeah, that was my experience. So I'm much more bundled up today. All right, number 2 is about, well, where I stayed last night. You know, I've gotten lots of comments and private emails about Airbnb, and you know, I mean, hit or miss. I think generally it's a positive. I've stayed in a lot, and you know, I think Airbnb has a lot to do with the character and the nature of the people that host. And I have stayed in some nice places. If you watched my Ohio to Erie, you know, I stayed in a place there that was fantastic. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, last night blew every Airbnb I've ever stayed in out of the water. The host, Jennifer, and her husband, well, I don't think there's two sweeter people on the planet. And you know, the place was super comfortable. Let me back up a little bit. So, you know, Rockwood is a great place to stop because it's, you know, it's just a convenient distance from Cumberland, and if you're doing a 3 or even 4 day ride, it's just a good stopping point. So I stayed in another Airbnb there, and I stayed obviously in the Husky Haven campground, which closed down for whatever reason. I don't know what they're gonna do. That campground's still there. It just says closed and no camping. So, you know, I went on Airbnb. I found the place there, and again, you're never quite sure what's gonna happen. Okay, super nice couple, really nice. It's a room off their house. It's really nicely decorated, you know, comfortable bed. It's warm, you know, but this is probably what I just this takes the cake. Okay, this is a bed and breakfast. You know, breakfast, that thing you eat in the morning, you know. Okay, Jennifer made a completely, I mean, a spread this morning. Eggs and sausage and toast and homemade bread, pumpkin bread, I think. Fresh made coffee. Wow, never had that happen before. And well, all the nice little things, just the little touches they have to be really welcoming to cyclists in particular. You know, if you're like me, sometimes with Airbnbs, you know, I kind of wonder in my head, like, and I know some of you have said the same thing, like, do they really want cyclists coming through? And, you know, I stayed at one a couple years ago, and it was rainy and muddy, and, you know, I didn't blame the host, but she saw me come in and her jaw dropped, and you could just see she was cringing because, you know, I had mud all over me. And, you know, she didn't want that bike. I left it outside, but you know, it was just, well, I don't blame her. I'm not, you know, I'm not making fun of anybody, but, well, Jennifer and her husband just did everything to make this such a nice stay. You know, I pulled up, I was a little bit late. She must have been standing right there at the door, because I pulled in the driveway and she walked out, and you know, they had a place in the garage to put the bike overnight, and then, well, I already mentioned the inside. Really nice. I'm not doing it justice. If you're stopping through Rockwood, 5 stars plus, really nice. This is the place. The only tip I'd also add is that everything is closed on Monday. Well, everything except a little kind of convenience store gas station at the bottom of the hill. And you know, they got limited stuff. I picked up a sandwich, some drinks, but great place. And here I am on the way to Connellsville. I don't know, 45 miles or so. And the sun is out, and I can tell, I'm hopeful it's gonna warm up a little bit. There's a bypass for this. Who wants to take the bypass when you can go through this tunnel? Am I missing something? I mean, it does get dark in here. Like right now. All right, maybe I understand a little bit. If you prefer less narration, today might be the day. My fingertips are too cold. Well, it's just cold enough. It's hard to operate the camera. There's only one button to push, but it's hard to do it. So you know what I realized? I forgot my famous people segment yesterday. Did you miss it? Well, it's gonna be short anyway. 3 references. Cumberland, Maryland, William Macy. He's been in a lot of stuff, but man, I loved him in Fargo. What a great character. Well done, Mr. Gacy. The second one, and I can't confirm this, you know, they say Wikipedia is like anywhere from 50 to 75% accurate. That statistic is probably needing to be verified. I think the new source of misinformation is ChatGPT. Because actually this is where this little story came from. I typed in, hey, tell me about famous people from, and I typed in some, you know, towns on the Gap. And it said, I'm just repeating it, I cannot confirm this anywhere, that John Denver spent significant parts of his youth in Cumberland. Don't know. If you look at all his biographical information, it doesn't say anything about it. I do know that, I didn't know this before, he co-wrote, you know, Country Roads, what's the name of the song? Country Roads, Take Me Home. He co-wrote that with 2 people from Maryland, I think. And they were writing that song about Maryland. Oh well, what a great song. And John Denver, great artist. And an actor. Remember Oh God? What a great movie. Okay, it said he spent significant parts of his childhood. Believe it or not. What was the third? Oh yeah. This is a good one. Nearby Rockwood. Just a little bit up the road. Not too far. Charles Bronson. That face. Charles Bronson. Man. That dude ate bunnies for breakfast. Grew up in Arlington. Close enough, not super close, but well, you know, come on. You gotta have 3. Whenever I open my mouth, gotta have 3 points. So there's your famous people for today. I got 2 for tomorrow. I'm not gonna spoil it. But it's hard when you get out in these rural areas to find people. It's hard. And sometimes you even gotta make it up. I'm thinking the John Denver one is pretty sus, but I don't know if any of you know. Let me know. You know, he was born in Roswell, New Mexico. So, you know what that means. Morning. How you doing? Okay. She might be too cold to talk. Because those shorts are, I can't imagine they're cutting. I passed a bench a while back and I didn't think much of it at the time, but it's been on my mind. It said, Bob loves this trail. what a great action. You know, a lot of people buy something in memory of someone. Bob loved this trail. You know, Bob's so excited about the Gap Trail, he was willing to make a donation, buy a bench. Now, he wants people to know now he loves the trail. Not just after he passes away. 3 cheers for Bob. I love your attitude. My goodness, we are already at Confluence? Okay. And I thought the trail went to the right there. But the signs are saying go straight. I will obey. I just realized it's Halloween, so the train came through and it had this haunting sound. I was like looking up in the trees. What is that sound? It's warmed up a little bit. I got the feeling back in my fingers, which is kind of cool. It is well, it's, you know, overcast, but still a beautiful fall day. Almost all the leaves are down, which is really great to ride through. They make such an awesome sound under your tires. All right, well, I'm sure you've noticed, this is a beautiful area. This is Ohiopyle State Park. And if you've ever been here, you know what I'm talking about. it is really, really beautiful. They got lots of hiking trails. Obviously there's the bike trail that goes through. They also have really good whitewater rafting. I think there's class 4 rapids, which, as you know, is a whole rapid class above class 3. Whatever that means. The little town's really nice. It's a great place to stop if you're, there's nice places to stay. Nice little restaurants, cafes. There is a general store. And just this morning, a subscriber, thank you, let me know that they have Buckeyes candy, Buckeye candy in the general store. And A, I'm hoping they're open. And B, I'm gonna get some because I was just on the Ohio to Erie Trail and I was looking for them. I couldn't find them. Bummed me out. My mother used to make the best Buckeyes. They're basically peanut butter fudge dipped in chocolate. My mother added the extra little twist. Sometimes she used chunky peanut butter. I don't know, maybe she mistakenly bought the wrong kind of peanut butter. And you know, fudge is normal and smooth, but this had that extra little, you know, a little extra texture. I just talked to a couple over there who went for a cold plunge in the Allegheny. Wow. I would have taken video, but that would have been kind of creepy. But oh my gosh. Oh, some people, good for them. It's always been sort of a source of amusement when I watch people that bike the Gap is if you stay in the Ohiopyle campground, you know, you've ridden a long day and you go to stop and there's a there's a long steep climb up to the campground. But I'd heard about it, but I'd never seen it. They have created a few little campsites closer down by the trail, which look very nice. You can reserve them on the same website that you can reserve a camp spot up the hill. But how nice, because I'll tell you what, pushing your bike and your gear up that hill. Well, I say it's amusing, but when it happens, it ain't so amusing. My favorite outlook. Gotta stop here. I don't know what kind of leaves we're gonna have, but this is my favorite bench. A little side note. You know, I did a video on camera equipment that I use on these trips, and I thought I'd show you something that I bring along on a lot of trips. I got this little handy dandy foldable tripod, and it's a little wobbly at the base, but I also got one of those Ulanzi little clips that my camera just fits into, and it's really easy to set up. And then, you know, I can take it apart and put it in my bag really quickly. So I should probably use it more often than I do, but there you go, one other little accessory. All right, hey, this morning I woke up over a cup of coffee in the early morning hours. I was exchanging some comments with a subscriber, actually, about what's so darn fantastic about being on the trail. And well, there's a whole lot of things, but I think one of the best, can't help it, you know, when you get out on a trail like this, your mind just sort of loosens up. You know, like dreams. People describe dreams as your brain at play. I've always liked that. You know, kind of semi-random electrochemical impulses floating through your brain, which is why, you know, you can be on a 4th grade field trip, but you still gotta pick up your kids from baseball practice, and you're not wearing any pants. You're probably wondering, what the hell does Brian dream about? Anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, your mind loosening up. You know, for all the cycling I did since retirement, common theme for me is about living a thankful life. Now, I'm not going to repeat everything I said. I shared some stuff on my Ohio to Erie video, which, by the way, was just last week. A week ago today. I don't know, there's a famous prayer. It says, "Teach me to number my days aright." That's been on my mind. What does that really mean? Yeah, I don't think I'm a particularly not thankful person, but yeah, I do think there's a lot of things I take for granted in life. So I've been trying to think about what it means to really truly be thankful. And again, I'm not going to repeat what I said before, but you know, emotions are a tricky thing. You wake up in the morning, maybe you're happy, excited about the day, maybe you're anxious and, you know, worried, or maybe you're just neutral, you know, whatever. But thankfulness, it's a different beast. That's deliberate. That requires action. You know, it's not like a random dream, or, well, some other people think that your dreams are multi-dimensional beings trying to communicate with you in your sleep. But it's, what is it? It's Tuesday. And as a matter of principle, I don't discuss multi-dimensional beings on Tuesdays. So, think of this as part 2, or I don't know what part I'm up to. Part 9. I've brought up this topic many times. We'll say part 2. Part 2, maybe part 3. See how we go. I got about another half hour, 45 minutes. I'm not going to talk about this for that long. Did you know I edit quite a bit on these little ramblings? Well, anyway, it's intentional, it's deliberate, it's an action to be thankful. So, I've been of a mindset that, you know, by and large, what you look for in the world is what you will find. If you want to look for love, care, kindness, gentleness, I think you'll find it in people, behavior. If you want to find hatred and anger, I think you'll find that too. What I mean by that is, I'm not naively saying that, you know, there's not bad things in the world and we should stick our head in the sand and whatever. That's not what I'm saying, but you know, we have such a polarizing moment in society right now in time where, man, we just, media in particular, just vilifies some people and then deifies others. It's all or nothing. Which can't be true. You know, people aren't perfect. Come on. What you look for, you're gonna find. You know, people ask me why I laugh so much when I'm on the trail, and part of it is because I'm looking for things that are funny and humorous and lighthearted, and oftentimes you can see it and enjoy it as such. All right, that's part 2. Part 3, thankfulness is a gift. It's a gift you can give to other people. So many of the times the things we're thankful for are things that people have done for us. And while I try to be thankful in the moment and appreciate what people have done for me, sometimes those things, you know, they kind of ruminate and you reflect and reminisce. And one such person in my life was my aunt. I used to spend my summers on my grandfather's farm in Kentucky. And my aunt, who lived in a small town in Kentucky, was, it's hard to describe this woman. She was such a, being around her was like being in a party. I don't care what she was doing. She could be doing laundry. And she just was so positive about life, and she was just fun to be around. And I'll give you a little story about her. Why not? This is recent. I took her out for lunch, and you know, we had a nice visit, and I took her home, and you know, I started talking about leaving, and she's like, "Oh wait, you're not leaving now, are you?" And I was like, "Well," her name was Jenna Lou. I think her real name was Virginia, but she went by Jenna Lou. And she said, "Okay." And I told her, "Look, it's a 10-hour drive. I'm sorry, I gotta get going." And she said, "Well, you just hang tight." And I didn't know what she was doing. Sure enough, about 20 minutes later, she comes up to me with a little Tupperware container. The lid's not on, and she said, "Look, put this on the passenger seat and let it cool down." And inside of it was peanut butter fudge. She made the best peanut butter fudge. Oh my gosh, was it good. And to come to think of it, she made it in 20 minutes. You know, no joke. I remember as a little kid, we went to a state fair and she got first place for peach ice cream. Legend. Well, anyway. Oh, I don't know. Later on, a month or two later, I was just sitting there thinking about life. Surprise, surprise. And I was thinking about her, and the thought came across, you know, that's good for you. That's nice, you got these nice thoughts, but why don't you tell her? You know, somebody said to me the other day that it's nice that you're in touch with your emotions. Okay, that's not natural for me. Listen, I did not grow up that way. So again, I'm sitting there thinking about her, and I'm thinking, why don't you send her a note? Why don't you tell her what you're thinking about? Why don't you tell her what she meant? And I did. I didn't send her some big old long, you know, 20-page letter, handwritten letter. By the way, nobody can read my handwriting, so I can't write anymore. I don't know how many of you are the same. I tried to write my name in a guest book this morning at that Airbnb. I hope she can read what I wrote. Anyway, I sent her a, oh heck, Sign of the Times to send her an instant message. And I just told her how much she meant, how much fun she was, how many wise things she taught me, and how I did my best to pass those on to my kids. And well, it wasn't 3 months later, she passed away. I'm sorry. Those aren't tears, that's the wind. And I'm so glad I expressed that thankfulness to her. Of course, you know, in typical fashion, she wrote back to me and said, next time you get the crazy idea to say something like that, you better give me a warning, because I didn't have any Kleenex nearby. What a sweetheart. I miss her like crazy. What a great blessing to have her as an aunt. Listen, thankfulness is a gift. Go tell somebody today what they meant, what they mean to you. It's an incredible gift. It'll make their day, it'll make yours too. I don't think I'm gonna leave that one part in this video. But if I do, I'm anticipating some comments like, are you okay? Why is it that when we express our emotions, we think something's wrong? Hi, how you doing? I'm okay. Once again, what a gorgeous day. This trail, the woman at the Airbnb, she and her husband also cycle a lot, and they've been around the country and seen other trails, but she was asking what I thought. And I still think this is one of the greatest rail trails in the country. Wow, it's just beautiful. You know, I was getting ready to just kick back and relax and enjoy a beverage that people over 21 enjoy quite a bit. It's all the rage. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I forgot to do frequently asked questions. And I know it's a favorite. I know you would have felt cheated. So, you know, I'm gonna delay my relaxation in order to impart some, well, semi-wisdom. Okay, 3 questions from today. The first is what, oh, by the way, I get to look at my notes instead of trying to do this off the top of my head. That's nice. This ought to be a high quality, frequently asked question. So what bike do I need? Excellent question. And the answer, without dodging it, is I've seen every bike. I've seen everything from mountain bikes to trikes to recumbents to adventure bikes, gravel bikes, fat bikes. I had a friend one time have his just standard road bike outfitted with slightly larger tires. I think they put 30s on his standard rim. And he was fine. He enjoyed the trail. It was, we even had a little bit of rain. That's the only thing I would caution against. If you're not used to riding in rain, look, riding in skinny slicks that might be a challenge for the Gap. The other consideration is if you're going to go through to DC, yes, a road bike might not cut it. There's some parts of the C&O that are, they're just a little less refined. This trail, the Gap in particular, is so well maintained. If you've watched the video over the last 2 days, I mean, it's smooth as glass. It's so nice. I couldn't believe today those guys raking leaves off the trail. That's the kind of care and attention that they put into the Gap. It's just really well done. So I think basically any bike works. How's that for a non-answer? Okay, second question I get is, where should I stay? And this is another very broad question, but one of the things that makes the Gap so nice is there are so many options. Everything from rustic camping. I'm staying in Connellsville tonight. I'm staying at the Comfort Inn, which is actually very nice. It's not super crazy expensive, and but just around the corner here is a rustic campsite that is it's free and it's maintained, I think, by a local biking group. But there are other rustic campsites along the way, like at Round Bottom or Dravo Cemetery, that are, they're perfectly fine. Then there's kind of another tier of campground, which is no frills, like in Myersdale. There's I think they call it the Festival Grounds, that looks very comfortable, and it's right there in the midst of a lot of services, restaurants right around the corner. And they cost a little bit. And then there's full-on campgrounds that, they might be in the $30 range, but then they probably have a place to bathe and other conveniences. There are B&Bs and Airbnbs along the way. There are hotels kind of scattered throughout the trail. So, my advice is go to a website called Bike C&O. It also looks like Bike Can Do, which is what I thought it was for the longest time. But they have a town-by-town directory of services that you can, you can go in and look at wherever you want to stay. I mean, there's lots of, they'll tell you when there's not anything there, and then they'll have the list of places that you can look at when, if it's a town you want to go to. Which leads to the third question that's kind of related to this is, how many days should I ride on the trail? And, it's a good question because it seems easy to answer, but then there's some things that make it not so easy. It's 150 miles. So if you're used to 30 miles a day, it's going to take you 5 days. If you're used to 50 miles a day, it's going to take you 3 days. And all sorts of math that adds up to 150. I'm not going to bore you with all those combinations. We would be here for quite a while because, the number line is an infinite number line. So if you ever studied infinity, there's no end. All right, not going to go there. Okay, what complicates it a little bit is, it's not a complication. What makes it hard to figure out how many days is there's a lot of options for sightseeing along the way. So, people often go to Pittsburgh and they're so focused on starting the trip or ending the trip if they're headed that way, that they forget about all of, there's a lot of fun stuff to do in Pittsburgh. And, there's great sports, there's museums, it's a great city. So, you may want to throw in an extra day to enjoy that. Pass through Ohiopyle today. They have whitewater rafting and trail hiking. And I may not have mentioned it, but right up the road is Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. I don't know, what do you call that? Residence? You've seen it. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. But, you might want to do a little side trip and go see that. So you don't want to be rushing. You might want to add a day where, either part of the day you're riding, or, you know, you stay an extra day someplace. That's true in Cumberland as well. Cumberland's got museums and places and things to see there, so, you know, that complicates it. The other complication of the answer is Amtrak, and we're going to talk about Amtrak tomorrow because that's a frequently asked question, but the Amtrak schedules kind of mean that you're going to have to add a day here and there. Like if you're going to Pittsburgh and you're going to start from Pittsburgh, the train gets in at like midnight. So, you know, you're not going to start the trail at midnight. Maybe you can, I don't know. Maybe some people do, ride in the dark, but more than likely you're going to get in after midnight. You're going to stay in a hotel and you're going to get up in the morning and go. So that adds a day. If you're going the other way, like say you're starting in Cumberland, you know, it gets there mid-morning. So you can always start riding back towards Pittsburgh, but the train leaves at, I think it's 5:20. I'm doing this Thursday morning. It leaves at like 5:20 in the morning. That's probably going to mean a day. You're going to have to stay there the night before maybe. So you want to think about that as well. All right, hope that's helpful. Those are my 3 questions. I hit all my bullet points. I hit all of them, every last one. That's awesome. I don't have any bullet points listed for tomorrow though, so I'm going to work on that right now. And then I'm going to go to bed. So I hope you have a great night. See you tomorrow. There's a few people camping. Wow. Okay, that little rustic camp area, I was not expecting to see anybody there this morning because it got down to about 20 last night, and well, it's 29 right now, and no comment, it's just cold. I'm wearing, I had 3 tops, 3 shirts. I'm wearing all 3 of them right now. And because it is, yeah, it's nippy. So Comfort Inn, I pulled in yesterday just in time. Started talking to a guy standing out front, and turns out he's a part owner of the Comfort Inn. Greg, heck of a nice guy. That's a nice place. If you don't know where to stay when you're coming through Connellsville, you know, I've mentioned the rustic campground there is nice. Has some sketchy people, and you know, I don't know, if nobody's there, I don't feel comfortable staying there personally. I'm sorry. I don't mean to disparage anybody. It's nice that they provide that. It's just I've had some interactions. Morning. I've had some interactions that just not good. So, you know, they try. So thank you. I don't mean to be ungrateful. But if you want to stay indoors, that Comfort Inn's great. It's, you know, it's affordable, and it's clean and neat and everything you're looking for when you've had a long day on the trail, especially a wet one or a... So anyway, thanks to the kind people there. And Greg, I look forward to your groundbreaking little conference center that you're building next door. It says opening next spring. I don't know, maybe I'll be back on this then, but wish you the best, dude. So here are the remnants of some old coke ovens. There's more of them. Wow, they're all over the hillside. That's another example of, you know, rustic camping, round bottom there. You know, it's no frills, okay? I mean, they got those little huts, which are really nice, but you know, it's an option if you want to camp, stay outdoors. All right, dear, where you going, buddy? He's got antlers on one side of his head. You've been through some stuff. Sunshine. It feels good. Hasn't warmed up very much, but it feels good anyway. All right, can you see that truck? There's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 trees falling across the trail. And I was kind of laughing to myself. I mean, they take such good care of this. I bet you they'll be gone by the end of the day. It's sure as heck. There is the truck. Those dudes are going to clean it up. So, tip of the cap. This is an incredible organization, takes care of this place. So a little history on the area, kind of sad history, but this area is called Dar Mine. And you know, that's the history of this area. There were lots of mining going on alongside the railroad. And well, anyway, there was a mine here and there was a terrible explosion that killed around 250 miners. Sign back there said it was the worst disaster in mining history in the US. So there's a little memorial there, but that's part of our history. Oh yeah, it's not too cold. I don't care that it's 33 degrees out. It's never too cold for an ice cream sandwich. I have an unbroken record of stopping at that place, so I just love it. One year he had this refrigerator wheeled out like almost right on the trail. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna let you vote. Which one do you want? You want famous people or do you want frequently asked questions? Go ahead, you can tap on your screen. You can even just yell out loud. I've got Bikus back in the Ride Along Adventure Command Center, gonna tabulate the results. A few more seconds. All right, what did Bikus say? Oh, Bikus says famous people. Okay. Well, I just got 2 today. The first, it's kind of hard around here because everybody's from Pittsburgh. So hard to find people nearby. Number 1, John Brashear. If you're interested in astronomy, then you've heard his name. I like astronomy. Story goes that when John Brashear was younger, late 1800s, he went to a traveling show, looked in a telescope, saw Saturn and its rings and its moons, and was blown away. And well, he was also a man of limited means, so he worked as a technician, I guess sort of an engineer in the coal industry, and he had a little workshop in his backyard, and he decided, hey, if I can't afford, a lot of deer around here, if I can't afford to buy a telescope, I'm gonna make one. I don't even know where you'd start. But in the process of doing so, he developed technologies that are still in use today for astronomy in terms of lens coating and creating mirrors. Incredible guy. I love those stories. I love the people who, you know, would have had every reason in the world to say, oh well, I can't do anything like that. Wow, look at this deer. Hey, how you doing? Man, they're everywhere. Anyway, yeah, he didn't say no. I guess the amazing thing is how many Brashear telescopes are still in use today around the world. I think up in Pittsburgh, the Allegheny Observatory has a Brashear telescope. I'm pretty sure that I used to go to the observatory in Cincinnati. I think they also had a Brashear telescope. Anyway, all right, John Brashear, you the man. The other one, this is righting a wrong. Because if you watched my video from the Montour Trail, I was talking about famous Pittsburgh people. And there's a lot. There's a ton. Although they don't have Julie Haggerty like we have in Cincinnati. That's another story. Anyway, I forgot someone, and I can't believe that I forgot him. Shame on me. Mr. Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers. Fred McFeely Rogers. He was born in Latrobe, which is, well, close enough. Can't believe I forgot him. Anyway, there you go. I'm righting it wrong. Mr. Rogers, what a guy. You know, a little side note, my wife was on Mr. Rogers. She was a little girl. I'd love to go back and try to find that episode. I don't know if it's even possible. But anyway, Mr. Rogers. Interesting notes about Mr. Rogers. He had a Bachelor of Music degree. So if there's anybody else out there like myself with a Bachelor of Music degree that says, why did I do that? Well, Mr. Rogers did it. And then he went on to study theology and became a minister. And he was, like a lot of people, concerned about this new thing called TV that could be used for good or not. And well, he put his life towards making it better, and created a massive media company that, you know, is more than just his show. He wrote a lot of books, and he did a lot of educational things, and what a good man. Man, you want to talk about somebody that touched millions of lives. Still does. Good man. All right, Mr. Rogers. Hey, today is about you, all right? All right, Gap Trail construction ahead. I did not read anything about this morning. Newton. I wasn't fast enough with my camera. There were 3 ladies on a bicycle built for 3. I've never seen that before. I think the funniest part was the woman on the very back was typing on her smartphone while the other 2 were pedaling ahead. Oh, that's cool. By the way, if you stop in West Newton, there's the train station right there, which is very cool. There's some really nice little bed and breakfasts here off the side. I've heard good things about every single one of them. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also a really great little campground just on the Pittsburgh side of West Newton that a lot of people seem to enjoy as well. I'll have to stop here one of these days and stay here. too lazy to walk back there right now, but there is back there a rustic campground. I believe the Scouts maintain it. It's well done. They got firewood and little huts there for camping if you so desire. You know, it's what, about 25 miles from Pittsburgh, maybe a little bit more. So if that's more your mileage, this is a place you can stay for the night. You know, cemeteries are always an interesting place to stop and visit. Interesting thing about Dravo Cemetery is there are soldiers buried here from War of 1812 and the Civil War. And you can see the flags there honoring them. Now, there was also a church here at one point, but it was burned in a fire in 1920 something. They say from a passing train that an ember may have floated over and caught the church on fire. They never rebuilt it, so it's now just a cemetery. For those who don't know, just passed a place called Dead Man's Hollow, and the trail is paved from here all the way to the point in Pittsburgh. All right, we got about another 20 miles to go, and how about we do frequently asked questions? One last time, last 3 questions. I get a lot of questions that go sort of like this. What's the best way to get to the trail? And I'm gonna answer that in the spirit of one of my favorite movies, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. If you fly into Pittsburgh, yeah, obviously you can Uber, or if you're staying in a hotel, you can check, see if they've got a shuttle. A friend of mine, I still can't believe it, told me that he stayed in a hotel downtown. They threw his bike in the back of the shuttle and off they went. That's pretty cool. But if you want to ride, there is a trail that begins right at the airport. It's a little connector that goes down to the Montour Trail. I did a video on the Montour Trail back in June. So if you want to know more about that, you can go watch that video. But when you get to the Montour Trail, if you go northeast towards Ohiopyle, you can make your way down to the city on, unfortunately, some fairly busy roads, but you can do it. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Other people tell me it's fine, so I might be a liar. Or you can head, you know, south, take the Montour Trail all the way around to McKeesport, which we're going to be up to here in just a little bit. I can show you where the trail comes in. I guess there's a third option. If you're a purist and you really want to start in Pittsburgh, you can always, at McKeesport, just go back into Pittsburgh. I think it's, oh, I don't know, 15 miles maybe? Something like that. And it's, you know, it's a nice trail. Then you get to do both trails. You get to throw the Montour in there on top. All right, that's air travel. Planes, trains. Okay, you know that I love Amtrak, so I'm not going to cover that. I also have a video on Amtrak. Wow, I'm doing all the plugs today. The thing I get about Amtrak is people say, oh, I haven't ridden a train in years, or seems kind of scary. It's not. They are so accommodating. Amtrak's awesome. And even though maybe it might be your first time with a bike on Amtrak, it's not theirs. They know exactly what to do. They'll walk you through every step of it. I love Amtrak. If you don't believe me, My buddy Thomas, go over and watch his channel. Follow Thomas. That guy travels all over the country on Amtrak. He knows little tips and tricks. I asked him to do a video on Amtrak because he knows everything about it. It's amazing. Sorry, slight delay. I can't hold the camera and bike through these areas. I gotta have both hands on the handlebars. Okay, so as I was just saying, the Montour Trail comes across this here bridge and then it meets up with the Gap right here in good old McKeesport. All right, automobiles. So two options here. One obviously is rental cars. You know, I've taken a rental from my hometown to Pittsburgh, dropped off the rental, rode, picked up another rental at the end and went home. That's pretty simple. I've also driven to Cumberland and then gotten a rental car, say to Pittsburgh. Yeah, I did that once. I don't know what's going on since COVID, but Avis is very accommodating. In fact, I think it was last summer, they offered me a special Gap rate for a one-way rental. I like Avis, actually. I've used Avis for a long time, so maybe I'm biased. But one of their competitors in Cumberland, they wanted over $500 for a one-way rental to Pittsburgh. I don't mention company names when they do crap like that, but you could guess there's not that many of them. It's an enterprising company that, you know, is involved in the rental car enterprise. Okay, the other option is shuttle services, and there are a lot of them. I'll leave a link to the website for Bike CNO where they've got several of them listed. I will recommend one that I've used 3 times. I think it's called Bill's Shuttle Service, or Bill's. I should know their name because I've used them many times. They're fantastic. Now, they're a little more pricey, okay? I think the convenience is great. You know, they're good. And it's especially nice if you got another person you're traveling with and you could split the cost of it, because, you know, they're nice and they will take you anywhere to anywhere else. Ah! Gosh. There's a dual-edged sword with paved trails. Anyway, so there you go. That is, wow, that's just question 1. How to get there. Well, we'll go faster on the other 2. The second one's about parking. And, you know, in Pittsburgh, there's the Grant Street Transportation Center. And I recommend this because if you fill out a little form, which you can download online, or just stop where, you know, the ticket guy is, they have a reduced rate for cyclists on the Gap. It's really nice. And it's a you know, it's a safe parking garage. It's right next to the Amtrak station. It's not that far from the point. Good option. In Cumberland, right underneath the interstate, is a parking lot. And the best is, it's free. I'm parked there right now. My car's parked there. And please come by and check it out. It's safe. That's another great place to park. Okay, there. Question 2 was quick. Wasn't that quick? All right. Question number 3 is people ask me about, what about the CNO? And I say, what about the CNO? It's a great trail. You know, it's another 175 miles. So whether you want to do it on the end or on the front, it's worth it. I love the CNO. I've done it 3 times just by itself without the Gap. And, you know, it's distinct in 2 ways. I think one is it's got a lot of, well, they both have a lot of history, but I think the CNO has maybe more, to me at least, more interesting history that goes back, you know, all the way to George Washington. So it's a little bit more of a rustic trail, not quite as groomed. I think people are surprised. They get to Cumberland and, you know, they've been lulled into this that bikes trails are just, you know, maintained and manicured. And, you know, this is a little bit more single track, and although they've been doing a lot of improvements to C&O, so, you know, the funniest question I get is, hey, does it count? One person asked me this. Does it count if I don't do the C&O? And I told him, absolutely not. The World Federation of Bike Touring Enthusiasts, they're not going to recognize your trip if you don't do the C&O. No. Can if you want. It's a beautiful trail. But the Gap is wonderful just by itself. I've enjoyed it, obviously. I keep coming back. I love this trail. If I haven't said that 100 times already, this is such a beautiful place. I'm waiting for the day that I get bored. It's not happened. In fact, quite the opposite. I just seem to learn new things and see new things every time. So, okay. I answered the top 9. I have about 20. So, if you ever have questions, listen, I'm more than happy to share my opinion and experience. So please, reach out. It's a great experience, and I'll do what I can to help people to make it a great experience for themselves as well. You know, over the years, people have laughed at my butchering of town names. But I'm sorry, this is no laughing matter. Duquesne? Really? Come on. Hooked on phonics. Sound it out. Sound it out. That's Duquesne. Uh-oh. Caution. Active rock slide. Be alert, look, and listen. Be sure and look for those rocks about ready to land on you. Yep, there's a rock slide. Wow. I never noticed that before. All right, here's the facility right here, where a certain football team that my sons root for. Yeah, I lost that battle. This is where they work out. Alright, we got about 4 miles to go. Hey, oh, now it's gonna get super loud. Perfect timing. Hey, look, if you made it to the end, you know who you are. You are a super diehard viewer, and I got a couple favors to ask of you.
Yeah, turns out it got incredibly loud. So 2 quick things. I don't want to go into cycling video hibernation during winter, so I'd really like input from you about what sorts of subjects you might want to explore. I mean, I've got a hopper of topics, but I'd really rather hear from you. You know, you, the diehard viewer who's still watching right now. Use the comment section or just send me an email. Secondly, I'm going to be conducting an informal research study on adventure cycling, ultimately trying to better understand what drives us to participate in this incredible activity. More info will be coming soon. I'm still developing the survey, but I would really love to hear from you. So stay tuned, and thanks in advance.
You know what? I almost forgot. They just opened up the new construction here. There's a new entryway into Point State Park on the trail. I could see that for the first time. Woohoo! Oh, this is already super nice. Good job, Pittsburgh. Thank you. Wow. Very nice. 5 stars. You know what the Gap needs? Gap needs a bell. Woo! They need something like the Katy Trail. They need a bell on either end. I always feel so anticlimactic to finish, and that's it. What a trip. There's a reason why the Gap is at the top of the list every time people talk about great rail trails. Just exceptional. So thankful. What a great place.